Why do people come on a show, a dating show at that, where you're required to open up about your feelings and talk about your life, your upbringing, and things of that nature, and not want to be open? Why are you on the show? Please let me know, Sophie. Why are you here? And y'all, is Billy about to break up with Ashleigh? Let's find out.
Kay Unscripted, no teens restricted. In this journey, watch our stories unfold.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Kay Unscripted. I am your girl Kay, and today we're going to be recapping Love is Blind UK Season 2, and we're on episode 2. This episode had quite a bit happening. We're still being introduced to new cast members, but before we get into all of the details, go ahead and like this video if you haven't already. If you're a new person here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel because I have more recaps like this one coming. And if you're a returning subscriber, hey girl, it's so nice to have you. How have you been enjoying it so far? Go ahead and share this video also. Share all of your thoughts with me in the comments. I need to hear from you. Now let's talk about what happened in this episode. The episode began with the conversation between Billy and Ashleigh. Remember, in episode 1, he was having all of these doubts about her job, and so he left saying, I need to be honest with you. This is not how I expected the conversation to go, because I thought this was going to be a breakup, but it wasn't a breakup. I was kind of holding my breath because I wasn't sure what was about to happen. But he pretty much just tells her that he has dated someone in the past who was a cabin crew and it didn't work out. So Ashleigh asked him to explain why it didn't work out, and he said the work shifts of someone who works as a cabin crew can be quite hectic, and the relationship kind of just fizzled out. So they talk about it a little bit, and Ashleigh pretty much just says that if a 9 to 5 is going to help when it comes to raising a family and all of that, she is down for that. I think she did say in the last episode that she was open to changing jobs if it came to that. And so they're okay. And Billy says it's going to work out. He was just really skeptical because he doesn't want to have to go through another relationship and for it to end up in a divorce because he is a divorcee. And so Ashleigh kind of reassures him and tells him how fond she is of him. She gets butterflies and she thinks that the relationship can work out in spite of his skepticism on her job. Billy then tells Ashleigh that she is his strongest connection, and she says she wants to see him in uniform. Boy, do I love a man in uniform. Up next is a date between Kal and Sarover, my favorite couple so far. They talk about their mixed race. She said she always wanted to make everyone proud, her mom, her dad, her grandparents, and she's always had to put her feelings aside and the things that she wanted from a man to the side just to make everyone else proud. And for the first time, she's not doing that anymore. She talks about only dating Indian guys, but she did say that her parents apologized to her for the pressure that was placed on her. And I think that's very big of her parents. Let me tell you, you see, my generation, my husband's generation, it's difficult to get our parents to apologize, especially in the Caribbean household. That's one thing you're probably not going to get from your parent is an apology. So the fact that her parents did apologize for putting that pressure on her is a big deal. Sarover said that there's mixed marriages in her family now. We didn't really get to hear Kal's side on how his family is going to receive her being an Indian girl. I wish you could have seen a little bit more of that. But he tells her that he's really feeling her. She says that the feeling is mutual and they're working towards their connection. Then we're introduced to Javen. He said, Javen said he's never had a serious long-term relationship, but he is definitely a charmer. That for me kind of screams red flag. What do you mean you've never had a serious long-term relationship? Anyways, he's on a date with Katisha, and Katisha is a very beautiful woman. I like her name too. He talks about having knee surgery and how he was told he would never play football again. She said that she's been single for 6 years and she wants a relationship that is sustainable. She also talks about a traumatic breakup. She talked about how she was with someone who was unfaithful a lot and she kept forgiving him, and that kind of left her dealing with a lot of trauma. Tisha also said that her dating history has not been the best. She's been hurt a lot, and she usually often went for emotionally unstable men, and this time around she's trying to do something different. They get to talking about family. She said that she's the oldest of 7 children. He said that he's the youngest of 5. They also talk about having kids, how many they would want. They both would like to have 2 to 3 children. I enjoyed the interaction between these two, but she also has another connection. She's now on a date with Demola. I thought I said Demola, but it's actually Demola. I don't know, y'all, but whatever the name is, Didi. He does seem like a genuine guy. He said he doesn't date a lot, he doesn't want to settle, and he wants to meet his soulmate. He talks about his background. He's a Nigerian, and he said that he speaks a little bit of Yoruba. Now that I think about it, I feel like Demola is more of a match for Anu. Remember, she's also a Nigerian. I feel like she would connect with him than the weird guy Patrick. Now there's another date between Billy and Ashleigh. Billy talks about how giddy he gets when he sees her, and when he walks into their date, there's a pink cowboy hat and a bandana and mustache also. They both like country music, so they're learning how to two-step. They're literally two-stepping each in their pod. Country music is playing, and these two are just too cute. Ashleigh tells him that she's excited for the future with him, and she is so into him. He said that he's also excited to see her. She says, "What's the first thing you're going to do when you see me?" And he said, "I would tell you that I love you." And I was like, oh, you could see that she was genuinely shocked, but in a good way. And she also tells him that she loves him. We know a proposal is definitely coming for these two, but we're going to talk about that later, okay? But I love Billy and Ashleigh. They're unproblematic. They're just two people into each other. And I really hope the relationship works out for these two. Up next is a date with Kieran and Megan. I love the interaction between these two. I feel like Kieran is more open with Megan. He also has a connection with Sophie, and we know that Sophie has been struggling to talk about her feelings or to talk about herself. Anyways, Kieran asked Megan what is her biggest insecurity, and she said it's her job. He says for him it's the fear of being married with kids and getting a divorce, and that is because his parents got divorced when he was very young. And he kind of just says that he has some mommy issues. He tends to come off a bit needy. Now, because of this, he said that he wants his wife to be very caring, especially towards their children. Now, Megan says that she and her mom are very close. She doesn't know her dad, and she said her mom did everything for them when they were growing up. Her parents broke up when she was born, and she gave a story about after 5 years, he went to no contact with her. When she was 17 years old, she was working at a pub, and she saw this couple coming in. She instantly knew that this was her dad. They never said hi to each other. I could just imagine how painful that could be for anybody, because what? You know I'm your child and you don't even say hi to me? You don't even acknowledge me? Like, that's crazy. But Megan also said that her mom's relationships have impacted her. She's seen how relationships have not worked for her mom because she's just this amazing person and she just hasn't had the best luck with men. She got so emotional speaking about it, and Kieran, he pretty much just reassured her and said, "Your mom sounds like an amazing person." He asked her, "Well, why do you think you're ready for a long-term commitment?" She said she's really ready to meet the right person. And he said, "You know what, Megan, you deserve to have all of your high standards. You deserve all of those things for your life." I really like how Kieran just pretty much stepped in and helped her to feel better. That's what we all need. Now, Kieran now has his date with Sophie. Every time we see him going into a date with Sophie, he always has to be gassing her up and asking her to open up, Tell me more, share more with me. And we know that Sophie has her reservations. But anyways, he does walk into that date again, asking her to be more open. And he said that he wants for them to share more about themselves. Once he says that to her, she says, well, that's scary. And he's like, well, isn't that the point of this? She says she doesn't do this kind of thing. She doesn't open up. She doesn't share things about herself. And I'm just like, well, why are you on the show? What are you doing here? Kieran then asks Sophie, what do you want for your life? Are there any big things that you're looking forward to? And she said she has a few things, but it's a bit more superficial. She talks about wanting a few designer bags before a certain age. She also talks about traveling. But he then asks her, what does success look like to you? She says she has success, not in her love life, but in every other aspect of her life. Kieran then tells Sophie that they're not at a level where they can fall in love with each other. And immediately as he says that, she said, well, I have been more open than I have been from day one, and I have to disagree. You haven't shared anything personal about yourself. Now let's move on. The next date is with Billy and Ashleigh. Ashleigh comes into the date and she has this big beautiful speech for Billy, telling him how grateful she is for meeting him, thanking him for allowing her to be herself, and that she hasn't been able to do that before. He then asked her to stand at the window, and he gave a fairly nice speech as well to Ashleigh, and he asked her to marry him. She, of course, says yes. Congratulations to Billy and Ashleigh. They're now an engaged couple. Let's move right along to the next date, which is with Patrick and Anu. Going into the date, Anu says that a lot of the other girls don't really like Patrick because they think he's a little too spiritual, but she feels like she's more spiritual than Patrick. That's going to come up later because some things are going to explode between these two. Anyways, she tells him that he has his emotional awareness, which is his splenic awareness that he's been talking about from day one. She calls it the Holy Spirit. Anyways, she asked him how he feels about waiting to consummate the marriage. He said no, he's not into that, but if she wants to, then it's fine with him. So the man is telling you, I need to test it before I say I do, okay? Now, there are people who go that way. There are other people who prefer to wait. Do what works for you. The next date is with Sarover and Kal. Kal says how amazing Sarover is in spite of the cultural differences. I would have loved to hear a little bit more about those cultural differences, but maybe we didn't get to see that as well. But he said that he's going to do right by her. He gives a really cute speech. And then he gets on a knee and asks Sarover to marry him. She says yes, and congratulations again to Sarover and Kal, another engaged couple. Now we're introduced to Jed. Jed says that he is half Lebanese. He has everything that he needs except for a wife. He is family oriented, and he also says that he is a bit of a softie. Then we're also introduced to Bada, and he's on a date with Bada. She is Albanian, and he asked her if she could speak the language to him. She does. She speaks the language to him. He is interested. He feels intrigued by it. She was brought up Muslim, but she doesn't practice it. He said he has one brother and he wants kids. He loves being an uncle to his nieces and nephews, and they had a really cute interaction. She said she's always wanted to be married. She's always wanted her marriage to be quite traditional. Then Kieran is on another date with Sophie. And Sophie says that she is a daddy's girl. She said that her mom and her have a really rocky relationship. They're okay now, but they've had a rocky relationship before. Her parents are divorced. And I liked that Sophie opened up a little bit more about her life. Do I think that it probably was a little too late for Kieran? I think so. Because we've seen him being on his dates with Megan, and she's always been so open and consistent with him. But anyways, back to Sophie. She said that she compares what her mom did to what she wants in a husband potentially. So apparently what happened was her mom kind of chose, once she moved on into a relationship, her mom kind of chose her partner over her daughter. And that is a quite unfortunate thing for a daughter to have to go through. What was interesting to me is the fact that Sophie said that she's not ready for this type of commitment, and she compared herself to an ice queen. She says she is just this cute girl, she's the prize, she's this, she's that. Honey bunch, there has to be more to you than your looks, okay? Now, what happens next is the reveal moment for Billy and Ashleigh. Once the door opens, they walk up to each other and they look like they're really into each other. Billy proposes again and she says yes, of course. What I didn't like about this scene is the close-ups on them kissing. That was too much for me. That was too much for me, but it was cute. They gave a cute interaction, and I think these two are genuinely into each other. Up next, Demola and Katisha go on a date. I keep watching this man's name is Demola. Okay. So anyways, we learn a little bit more about Katisha. In the beginning, I really like Katisha, but my mind changes later on, okay? But anyway, she talks about her childhood. She said that she left home at 16 years. She was pretty much lost and confused, just out there trying to figure out life. She had a job from the time she was 14 years of age. Demola said that he lived with his brother, sister, and both of his parents. They were very close. He himself personally was very close to his grandmother, and he talked about how beautiful life was with his family, and also shared that his grandmother passed away and how that impacted his life a lot. Then there's another date with Katisha and Javen, whatever. You all know I'm not getting these names right. Anyways, he said that he's very close to his family. He goes to Jamaica to see his extended family all the time. She said that her mom is Jamaican Spanish, but she's not really in touch with her Jamaican side of the family. So that's something they kind of connected on, the Jamaican side of their family. Now, the next question he asked me already had me knowing what type of time Javen was on, right? Anyways, he does ask her how important sexual chemistry is to her. She said it's very important to her, but emotional connection is more important to her, because once you build that emotional connection, then the physical one falls into play. So yes, it's very important, but the emotional part is way more important to her. He asked her, what does emotional intimacy mean to you? She said it means sharing with your partner. So he asked her, what are her expectations on sex? Like, how many times would she want to have sex in a week, in a day, and all of that kind of thing. She said she doesn't know, but she looks forward to navigating this, because it's really just based on the chemistry that you have with the person. Now, I'm not saying that that is not an important conversation to have, but I'm just saying it was the way he kind of said it, and the things that he was saying too had me knowing that he is going to waste this girl's time. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Katisha, however, feels like she has this strong connection with Javen because he's so much more forward. Okay, let's leave that there. Now, the next date is with Kieran and Molly. Going into the date, he said that he was having mixed emotions because he has two connections, and they're two completely different connections. We know he has his connection with Molly, and then there's Sophie. Now, walking into the date, he shared a sentimental gift with Molly. It was a Japanese ornament. He did say that he's traveled to Japan before. That was one of his favorite trips, I think he said. But the Japanese ornament, he said, it brings good fortune. He also sprayed it with his aftershave, and so he's now gifting it to Molly. Now, we know whenever the couples go into the date gifting each other stuff, that means that they're pretty much choosing that person. You share a sentimental gift with the person you feel like you want to go to the end with. So it is interesting to see how this is going to go down with Sophie. We'll get to that. Now, back at the girls' quarter, Megan is so happy she enjoyed her date because she's getting the gift from Kieran, and she knows what that means to her. Now she walks in talking about her gift, and Sophie knows that Megan is also seeing Kieran. At that point, I don't think Megan knew that the other connection was Sophie. Now she's screaming with excitement along with the other girls, so much so that the guys can actually hear them. And so him on his side, he's like, I think that's for me. Now Sophie walks over to some of the other girls that were lounging around, and she says, imagine a girl screaming so loud about your man. She is upset. She is pissed off. It's visible. She said she's not the second best. She's not about to deal with none of that. Kieran had his date with Sophie first. And so that's why I said earlier, I feel like at that point, it was too late for Sophie to open up to Kieran because Megan had been giving him so much and she had been giving him the bare minimum. So at that point, he had already known that he would have chosen Megan, or maybe not. Do I feel like he probably should have said something to her? Yes, he should have. But I don't know why Sophie thought she was giving the man so much. Kieran could have made up his mind after his date with Sophie, realizing that the connections were different. And so there was no opportunity for him to sit with Sophie until their other date to perhaps let her know how he was feeling. Now, this is where the episode ends. So you're going to have to tune in for the next recap to find out what happens in episode 3. Tell me how you're feeling about Patrick and his spleen. Are you as irritated as me? Tell me, is it annoying to you? What do you think about the Sophie, Kieran, and Molly triangle that's happening? I need to know all of your thoughts. This has been my recap for Love is Blind UK Season 2. Episode 2, please share all of your thoughts with me, and don't forget to like this video, share it with a friend, subscribe to the channel, and tune in again tomorrow because I have another recap dropping. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.